Hi. So I guess now with the Land of the Lost, we've established who everyone is, everyone important, the primary bad guys, so we can get into the weird stuff. Because in Day for Night, a knight, or at least someone who claims to be a knight, from the court of King Arthur, appears out of a purple portal, like the one from the theme song, and just at the right time. And so, kind of, it establishes it's not just a one-time thing. Which it already kind of did with Krista apparently being from San Francisco in the '60s, but we haven't seen more of it happening. So, guy arrives, and I'll just tell you what happens at the end. He gets to go home like a day later, and I'm thinking maybe the Porters were a little jealous of that because, similar to when they first started to realize Krista might be from their time and place as well, or at least the same world, they started asking her, "Do you remember how you got in? Do you know how to get out?" And Tom gives the same questions to what's his name, Sir Balin. He calls himself Sir Balin. I guess I'll call him Balin because another thing. Here's what it turns out. He's not actually a knight. He's a squire for a knight. So I'll just call him Balin, assuming that he didn't also steal a knight's name. Um, and he also refers to himself as a dragon slayer. So he doesn't just lie. He goes big. I don't know if, but it never really establishes if in the world that he comes from there really are dragons, because it's not necessarily our King Arthur. It might be King Arthur in a dimension where there actually are dragons. Because when at one point Tasha wanders past when he's practicing proposing to Krista, and he says, "Oh, look, a baby dragon," or something like that. And it's really cute to refer to Tasha as a baby dragon, but then he tries to kill her, and so he's conditioned to see dragons, and to then go after them. So. So maybe there are actually dragons. He's not from the same world as the Porters. He comes in full knight regalia, and so he has the helmet on, and he appears when there are Sleestacks present, and these Sleestacks immediately refer to him as Iron Face. And then Shung, when he finds out about it, he says he wants the magic blade, the long knife, so that's how he refers to the sword. So the Sleestacks do play a part in this as well. The Sleestacks are in a lot more of it than I remember, but I guess they're the main bad guys. So they also have to come in contact with the other protagonists and guest stars. But it starts off with, when I can get back to the beginning of the episode, starts off with Kevin dreaming of rescuing a trapped Krista. Now, how he has these fantasies even though Krista is obviously far more capable than him or than all three Porters combined. And what she can't do, she's got Stink for. So he, and then Krista actually does get briefly trapped by the Sleestacks, and he tries to save her, but he's not effective at it. So then Sir Balin appears and kind of chases them away with his magic blade, his long knife. So, yes, Kevin gets jealous and a little emasculated, and he's it's bad enough that he can't be the hero that he wants to be, but that somebody shows up who seems to be the hero that he wants to be is not helpful to him. And he doesn't want Krista thinking of him as a kid, and I'm not sure. I think that, I'm not sure of her age, because I think she might be in the neighborhood of Tom Porter, the father. I mean, they have Kevin, but of course Kevin's going to go after her because he's representing every teenage boy, as far as television was concerned at the time, is going to go for the only female of anywhere near his age who's not his sister in the TV show. So, of course, he's going to do it, but I think in later episodes there might be a hint of something between Tom and Krista. And I don't know exactly what her age is supposed to be, or if she's supposed to be ageless. But anyway, and Balin has similar misconceptions about Krista. He's when they're all together in the treehouse, and Krista says she's going to go home, and Balin says, oh no, not the treehouse, but out in the woods. But Krista says it's getting dark. She's going to go home back to her cave, and he says, I'll escort you. Balin does, and Krista says no need for an escort, and then Balin goes on and oh, of course you need an escort. You're a lady, you need an escort. And then he turns around and she's disappeared in her Krista way. And he says, but he still insists she needs an escort. So he goes looking for her, and then Kevin follows him because he's new to the dinosaur world, and Kevin wants to make sure nothing happens to him. Meanwhile, Tasha and what's her name, Annie, go back to the treehouse. And of course, the Sleestaks arrive, and they grab the sword, but then Scarface arrives, and there is chaos, and Kevin has a heroic moment where he throws the sword at Scarface. It lands in Scarface's leg, and then Scarface pulls it out with his mouth, spits it out, and but I guess Balin kind of ends up scaring him away, or they hide, and then he just goes away. I think that might be what happens. And Balin reveals to Kevin that he's a squire, and that he lied about everything, and he gives Kevin a weapon, and not the sword. I think it's the spiky ball at the end of a chain connected to a stick. I think it's not a mace, I don't think, but it's something along those lines. And then the portal appears, and he goes back. So I don't know if the portal appeared because he stopped lying. That he was dressed as a knight. He says he's hunting dragons when the portal first appeared in the earthquake, and he fell into the land of the lost. And so he was being deceptive. He was pretending to be something that he wasn't, and now he's telling the truth, and therefore he can go home. I don't know what lesson the porters maybe have to learn, but yeah, that's what happens. Random rules. I started watching these episodes thinking about Lost, not the other land of the Lost, but Lost, the show Lost, and how I think maybe the people who created Lost maybe based it in part on this, just the weird random island stuff that doesn't necessarily mean or lead to anything. Or does it? Anyway, that was, Day for Night was the title of that episode. And then the next episode is another Kevin-centric episode, Kevin wanting to be a hero episode, called Kevin versus the Volcano. And this one starts and ends with basketball. And I love basketball. Haven't done it in a long time. Last time was the hotel I stayed at for my cousin's wedding. There was a basketball hoop and small little mini court in the room that had the pool in it. And I both accidentally dropped the ball in the pool, and also the ball made its way to me when I was in the pool when someone else was playing with it, and I had to throw it back to them. So I questioned the wisdom of that. But anyway, I miss basketball, and I do remember particularly appreciating the basketball elements of this, but here's the thing, and I remember thinking this all those years ago as well. So the porters make a basketball hoop, primarily for Kevin, I guess, and then they also have a basketball. And the basketball is this pink rubbery ball thing, and, it could be like some animal's bladder or something, but they never say what it's made of. And Stink starts eating it at one point because Stink doesn't understand basketball. So it is meat, or some, I don't know what it is, but that's if you know what the basketball is made of in Land of the Lost, let me know in the comments. So Kevin versus the volcano. The volcano erupts, the volcano that is in the background of everything, and the lava threatens the treehouse. Now the lava is neon green, and this show, I saw it on Nickelodeon, but it was not originally a Nickelodeon show. So why the lava was neon green, I don't know. Maybe it's another thing like the portal randomly appearing, so the guy only spends a day in the Land of the Lost instead of as long as the porters do. But the lava is neon green. Is real lava neon green? I have only ever seen it orange, yellow, reddish, maybe a little brown and black occasionally. So the team splits up. Tom and Krista go to try to divert the volcano. I guess Tom sees a rock that looks big enough to block the flow of the lava, and so they go to try to do that, and they assign Kevin and Annie and Stink to take the stuff from the treehouse, which is in the lava's path, to Krista's cave. And while they're doing this, they've got it all in that little wheelbarrow. And when they have to travel with their stuff, they have less stuff than they seem to have at other times. As they're on their way, Scarface arrives, and Kevin again. So Kevin is jealous that he doesn't get to go try to stop the lava flow, that he's got to babysit Tasha and Annie. And so when Scarface arrives and threatens the caravan, Kevin decides to draw Scarface away to save the others, and which is not as unreasonable a thing to do as things that he does in other episodes. He's the oldest, he's the fastest, and he's got to protect the younger. So this makes perfect sense that he does. Then he gets cocky about it because it works, and then he hides, and Scarface goes away, and he falls into a hole. Meanwhile, the boulder doesn't do the trick of stopping the lava, which really depresses Tom and Krista. Kevin finds in the hole a giant glowing crystal, which is apparently kind of a magnet because it pulls him towards it, and it glows purple, and it gives him a headache, like Shung's crystal dagger thing, and it makes it difficult for him to climb up. And then he does successfully climb up, then Scarface is there, and he falls back down because he wants to avoid being eaten. Apparently the stuff from the treehouse to Krista's cave is passing by the volcano, so Krista and Tom meet up with Annie, Stink, and Tasha, and they start looking for Kevin. They find him in the hole. Scarface is at the top of the hole, and lava is on the way, and it's going to go into the hole. And in order to make Scarface go away, Kevin hits the crystal. He throws things at the crystals, try to make it glow and hum and do its thing to a greater degree, and that chases Scarface away. Gives Scarface a headache, and then the crystal, I think it doesn't explode yet, but once Scarface is gone, everybody crowds around the hole to try to get Kevin out, and there's some very sad, pathetic jumping. Kevin trying to jump up, not quite able to reach his father's outstretched hand. It's not convincing jumping, but it's fine. And he is eventually rescued. The crystal explodes, which causes the lava to go back into the volcano. And Tom deduces from this that the crystal was powering something, powering the volcano maybe, or just it was a power source for the Sleestaks when they lived on the surface. And that doesn't explain at all why it has any influence over the volcano. But that's what is said. Or maybe that does explain it. Again, leave it in the comments if I misunderstood it. No, that doesn't explain it either. I just wrote down Kevin exposed the crystal to the sun, which is what activated it. It had been dormant, but Kevin, when he fell, he broke through the into the hole, which had been covered, and so the sun hits the crystal, and that's what gets it going. Still doesn't explain anything. And then the episode ends with Stink, who previously would try eating the basketball, slam dunking, and so that's fun. Let's see. Next two episodes are Mind Games, involving Shung's crystal dagger, and Flight to Freedom. So that's an interesting one. So I look forward to those. I look forward to sharing thoughts with them. Share thoughts with me in the comments below. And as Krista would say, peace and love.